Hello friends, I am Dr. Kulkarni. This presentation deals with questionnaire designing and this is part 2 of the presentation. Part 1 of the presentation has been separately recorded and presented and is available separately. The lesson objectives for the part 2 of the presentation are that at the end of part 2 of the presentation, the participant should be able to describe some examples of improper questions. They should be able to describe some problems in the answer keys. There could be some problems in the answer keys, and their description should be possible by the participants. And the third objective is that they should be able to discuss some special issues related to designing of the questionnaires. Now let us see the examples of improper questions. The first category of the improper questions is the loaded questions. Loaded questions are those questions which contain controversial questions like presumption of guilt. So the loaded question will arouse a feeling of guilt in the minds of the respondents. So here is an example of the loaded question. The example is, have you stopped drinking alcohol? So whether the answer is yes to this question or whether the answer is no to this question, the presumption of guilt is bound to be there in the minds of the respondents. So such questions are called improper questions and should be avoided in the questionnaire. Second example of the improper questions is the leading questions. Leading question implies the expectation of the investigator. It appears that the investigator is pushing the respondent towards a specific reply. So when the intention of the investigator is not to get an honest reply, but the investigator is pushing the respondent towards a specific reply, it is called as a leading question. Example is here, now that you have seen that this is a very good book, would you would you like to purchase it? So the investigator has made a statement that now that you have seen this is a good book, this is the conclusion not drawn by the respondent, but the conclusion has been drawn by the investigator. And after this, after having drawn this conclusion on behalf of the respondent, the investigator is asking, would you like to purchase it? So this is definitely a leading question because this is the conclusion of the investigator and not of the respondent, and therefore it appears that the investigator is pushing the respondent towards purchasing of the book or towards making the opinion that he or she should purchase the book. So this is a leading question. A double-barrel question is the question that touches upon more than one issue. Especially it will be called double barrel if it touches two issues or variables in one question. So do you like the content and quality of printing of this book? So here the variable is the content of the book and the quality of the printing of the book. So these two variables the respondent is supposed to answer in a single question. So whatever will be the answer, we will not be sure whether the response is for the content of the book or it is for the quality of the printing of this book. So two variables are included in the question and the respondent is supposed to give the reply in a single key. So that is a double barrel question which therefore includes two variables, the content and the quality of the printing of this book. Now you can improve upon this question in this way. Therefore, the question in the previous slide touches upon two aspects, that is the content and the quality of the printing of the book, and calls upon two separate questions. And these are two separate questions. Do you like the content of this book? And do you like the quality of the printing of this book? And each of these variable, that is the content and the quality of the book, will have to be answered separately by the respondent, and therefore there will be no confusion whether the answer is for the content of the book or whether the answer is for the quality of the book. So such questions can be improved upon in this fashion, that the two variables are separately asked in the separate questions. An overtly complex question, as the name suggests, is the question, as the name suggests, the question is complex as it tries to get answers to too many things in one question. So too many variables are in the same question or too many scenarios are there in the same question, and it is characterized by many ands and buts in the same question. So one can identify the overtly complex question that it will definitely contain many ands and buts. And let us see the example of overtly complex question. If you are a medical officer of a medical officer in a primary health center and come across HIV infected person and one who is also having tuberculosis diagnosed by sputum examination or by X-ray but is not overt AIDS and you have only anti-tuberculosis drug and then what would you do? So here in many scenarios are there. One is the person is a medical officer at the primary health center. Then the second he is coming up across HIV infected person. Then the HIV infected person is also having tuberculosis, which is diagnosed either by sputum examination or X-ray. But this is the another scenario that the person is having HIV infection but is not having an overt AIDS. Then the next scenario you are having only one anti-tuberculosis or you are having only anti-tuberculosis drugs. What would you do? So many scenarios are included in same question, which is indicated by one, two, and three ands and one but. So this is a overly complex question, and one can simplify this question by removing the ands from this question or separating out the scenarios in this question and asking separately for the separate scenarios. The question could contain an unknown variable. This is this will happen if the question contains an unknown variable or it is not clear about the level of precision expected in the answer for the question. So the first question is, do you consider yourself as a liberal? So this is a new variable introduced. The concept of being liberal may not be clear in the minds of the respondent, and therefore the question contains an unknown variable. So this is an example wherein the question contains an relatively unknown variable. The second problem that can be there in this question is that it is not clear. It may not be clear about the level of the precision expected in the answer. So the question is, how old are you? So how much precision you want in the answer, whether the answer should be in completed years, whether the person should answer in the months as well as years, that is say 45 years and 10 months, 45 years and 4 months, or 45.6 years is my age. So that sort of clarity is not there. So this is because there is no clarity in the level of the precision of the answer in this question, how old are you? So it may either contain an unknown variable or the question may not be clear about the precision expected from an answer. The problem could be in the answer key, and this is the example of the problem in the answer key. The question is, what is your age in years? So here the question is clear about the precision of the expected answer. The precision of the answer is clear, but see at the key, there are four options. One is 15 to 25, 25 to 35 years. The option C is 35 to 45 years, and option D is 45 to 55 years. Now, here the problem comes if the respondent is less than 15 years and the respondent is above 55 years. Then where should he place himself or herself? There is no option over there for such candidates. So this is therefore an improper question because there is the question key is improper. In another way, the question key is improper because herein you can see the option A is 15 to 25 and this 25 is also included in option B. 35 is also included in option C, B and C, and 45 is included in option C as well as option D. So if an individual is aged exactly 35 years, the person can put himself or herself in option B or in option C. So such options should not be available if only one of these options is going to be correct. So in that situation, the correct way should have been you could replace this 25 with 26, you could replace this 35 with 36, and you could replace this 45 with 46. So the first will be 15 to 25, the second will be 26 to 35, option C will be 36 to 45, and option D will be 46 to 55. And then there will be no dichotomy in the mind of the individual if the person is exactly 25 years or exactly 45 years or exactly 35 years. So one should see whether the keys are having such problem in the questionnaire. See this example, which has got another problem in the answer key. What brand of computer do you own? And the options given are the two brands of the computer. But the keys do not consider the possibility of owning no computer. The person may not be owning any computer at all. It presumes that everybody is owning at least one brand of computer. So that possibility is not considered in the answer key. The second is that owning the brands other than the two. These are not only two brands of these are not the only two brands available in the market. Other brands are also available, and that option is not given over here. And the person might be having both the brands. So the key should mention that you can tick two if you own the two and something like this. So that option is not there. If the prior instruction is that the person has to tick only one of the possible options, then this is a bad key. This key has got a problem if the prior instruction to the respondents is that they have to uh, select only one of the options. So the lesson learned over here is that they consider and include all options in the all possible options in the answer key. So that should be seen in the keys to the answer keys. The question has non-mutually exclusive options. The keys are non-mutually exclusive. So now here is the question, where were you born? And the options given are village, city, hospital and home. A person may be born in the city as well as in the hospital. The person may be born in the city and the person may be born at the same time in the home. So city, hospital and city, home are therefore non-mutually exclusive options. So herein, same is the case with the village. The person may be born in the village and the hospital. The person may be born in the village and the home. So this question therefore is not appropriate. The answer keys are therefore not appropriate if the initial instruction is to choose one option only. So answer keys therefore are inappropriate over here. The next problem in the answer keys is that the non-consideration of each response. Which one of the following do you think increases the person's chance of having a heart attack? And the instruction given is one has to check only one. And the options are smoking, being overweight, and stress, having the stress. The person may think that no, smoking as well as being overweight can cause the heart attack. There is a possibility. So the person should have been given the option of choosing all the three or any of the two or any of the one of the options, because all these three appear to be the risk factors in causing the heart attack. So in that sense, this instruction seems to be improper. The instruction should, on the contrary, should have been choose one or more of the following options. That could have been there. This key can be improved upon by this better option. Which of the following increases the chance of having a heart attack? So here the option given is smoking, obesity and the stress. All these three options are given, which were given in the previous question. But the sub options are yes, no and don't know. And for each of these options, smoking, obesity and stress, the sub options yes, no and don't know are available, and they could be given separately without intermingling with the next or the other options that are given. So this is a better option key for the question than the question and the question keys which were given in the previous slide. Then the next problem are there some special issues in the questionnaire itself. There could be some answers or there could be some questions wherein the respondent is not required to answer all the questions, and the person is directed to next specific question depending on the response given to the given question. And the given question in this case is question number 11. The question is, do you smoke cigarette currently? And the option is yes or no. If the option is yes, if the yes, then they answer the question numbers 12 and 14. The person is directed to question number 12 and 14. And if the answer is no, the person is directed to question number 15. So if the answer is no, then the respondent is not required to answer question number 12 and 14 at all. And this is called as branching. And this is a special issue in the questionnaire, that is having the branching. So the moment the branching is there, it occupies question number 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So for one question with two options with the branching, we require 12, 13, 14, and 15. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. For a single question, we require 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 questions. We require 5 questions. So this is the special issue which is called as branching. A branching is called as reverse branching when the respondent is required to go not to the next question or questions, but he is directed to previous question. So reverse branching in this case would be if the question number 11 is answered, and if the answer is yes, the person is directed not to the question number 12 or any question ahead of question number 11, but he or she is directed to question number 10 or question number 8 or question number 5. So that is called as reverse branching. Reverse branching when the person is asked to or is reverted back to some previous question after answering the given question. So that is called as reverse branching. And reverse branching is undesirable in a good questionnaire. Then the next special issue in the branching is too many branching questions in a questionnaire. This is one question in a questionnaire. You may have say 20 questions in a questionnaire, and if 10 out of these questions require branching, then it will be a very problematic and confusing situation for the respondent. So situations like having too many branching questions in a questionnaire should be avoided. Then the third special issue in branching is too many branches in a single question. This question, which is question number 11, which is given over here, has got only two branches, that is yes or no. The question may have three branches, question may have four branches, and then the respondent will be referred to four different questions depending on the branch which he selects as the answer to the question. So that is the problem of too many branches in a single question. So that situation should also be avoided as far as possible in a questionnaire. Too many branching, so reverse branching, too many branching questions in a questionnaire, and too many branches in a single question. So such situations should be avoided or should be minimized. Sequencing is another issue. One will have to give a careful thought on sequencing of the question. For example, you may have questions about the knowledge of tuberculosis, diabetes, and hypertension. It is better you group the questions of tuberculosis in one group, questions related to diabetes in second group, and questions related to hypertension in the third group. You should not mix up the questions related to knowledge of tuberculosis with diabetes and hypertension, or the questions related to hypertension should not be mixed with the tuberculosis. So the sequencing will be done only after the grouping is done. So grouping should be done, and in the group then we can have the sequencing of the questions. So make the groups of the questions first and then make the sequencing. A special problem or a special situation may arise regarding the question as to what should be the sequence. Now see, these are the two questions. Are you married? And how many living children you have? Now if you ask the question, are you married? And the answer is no. And the next question is, how many children you have? It is an embarrassing situation. If the question is, are you married? If the question is, are you married? And the answer is yes, and then you ask the question related to how many children you have, it will be okay. So this sequencing will have to be decided for the question. And the next question, if it is dependent on the previous question, the sequencing, whether the question number 9 should be asked first or the question number 8 should be asked first, will be taken after the question is pre-tested. So are you married? Then the answer is yes. If yes, go to question number 9. If no, go to question number 10. So here the two special issues have taken care of, that is the sequencing as well as the branching. Sequencing and branching has taken care that an embarrassing situation will not arise in the questionnaire. So that finishes with the part 2 of the questionnaire designing, and I thank you very much for participating in or listening this questionnaire designing. And if you have got any queries, you can go to my email ID and you can have this email ID yourself, and you can contact me at this email ID. Thank you very much.